Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about a situation that has gotten so much attention that my own family, yes, the people who never know who and what I am talking about on this channel, they told me about this. So that's how big this situation has become. Savannah Glenben is an influencer. She's a TikToker that has a really big following. She is also a mother. Now, according to the New York Post, I'm going to give you a brief summary of what happened and show you the content. Now, the content may be disturbing to some. Savannah and her husband posted a video to TikTok showing their child wrapped in saran wrap. They posted this to TikTok. Savannah's video shows her husband pushing around their toddler on their bed. The boy, who looks to be around 2 and whom she has subsequently revealed is named Gunnar, is tightly wrapped from the neck down in cling film. Completely immobile with his arms strapped to his side, he falls to his knees as tears start welling in his eyes. Gunnar appears completely terrified as he topples over on his back. Savannah's husband, who is in army uniform, smiles as he maneuvers the boy around. Savannah's heard saying in the background, "If you have a grumpy toddler all day, this is the only way." Okay, so after posting this TikTok, CPS intervened and took away their kid, Gunnar, for what I understand to be a day or something along those lines. It was very quickly turned around. As of right now, like 30 minutes ago, Savannah posted, I think it's part 1 of an explanation of what happened and also a response to the backlash.
She posted a video that genuinely had people concerned for her son's safety, but the internet's divided. So what's really going on? This all started when Savannah posted this TikTok to her channel. But just a quick heads up, some people might find this video disturbing. So her husband Hank had wrapped their son Gunnar in saran wrap. To them, this was just a bit of harmless fun.
I don't want to put too many opinions out there simply because I'm not a parent. I don't know how things are. Would I saran wrap my kid? Obviously not. There were a lot of people who were saying this was abusive and that it was a punishment. To be entirely honest, it's hard for me to not see that as a punishment. Rendering a kid, aside from maybe walking slightly, immobile, to me, says punishment. Even if it's a joke or whatever, it doesn't read as playfully doing stuff with your kid. I don't know. That's just me. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not a parent. The other thing too is the child's emotions. Now in the article, and I didn't read the whole thing because a lot of it is obviously skewed and I want to give you as unbiased of a summary as possible before getting into my opinion. In the article, it was saying that Gunnar looked scared, looked upset, that there were tears in his eyes. All of that can be true and it can be abuse, and all of that can be true and it isn't abuse. You know what I mean? So obviously the child's reaction, Gunnar, is important, but I don't think you can say abuse just because of that. Do I think personally that it is abusive to wrap a kid like that? I don't know if abusive is the first term I'd use, but it's definitely aligned with that. I associate a lot of abuse with something extreme, which is probably my mistake because there are quiet forms of abuse. It's so hard to tell from a video. I think it's unhealthy. I don't think it's at all quote unquote productive if you're trying to teach your kid to not do whatever. To say it's a punishment to me seems like the normal conclusion anyone would come to. At the very end of the day, my opinion is that all of this was a massive fuck up on their part as parents in terms of setting boundaries to having a child not be quote unquote in control of their own body because they're wrapped up like that. Not only I think is potentially traumatizing depending on how children are. For example, I'm claustrophobic. If I were wrapped in saran wrap, it would not go well. So depending on who you are, the way you live it is obviously different. I can't say if it's going to be a trauma for this kid or not. That being said, why are we even having this conversation? Like if the conversation we're having is, will this traumatize the child? We already have a problem here, right? 30 minutes ago, she posted this video trying to clarify things.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Hank and I's intentions were good. be fucked up big time. You regret it. I regret filming it. He regrets doing it. And I'm gonna keep repeating this until people get it through their heads that I'm not just apologizing because I posted the video. I'm so disappointed in myself for not seeing the importance of having a perception is reality mindset, even though I'm out of the Marine Corps. Because guess who's still in? My husband. Despite him not having any social media, like I have to catch him up on world news. When I'm posting videos of him, he's not watching them. He doesn't know majority of the videos that I posted, especially the one where he's a teenager and has really long hair and it's like super funny. I think it's important to talk to you guys grown up to grown up and just discuss the biggest mistake that Hank and I have ever made as parents. Be able to clarify things in my own words. Instead of going to Reddit, Google, Twitter for your gossip about the situation, I'll tell y'all straight up right here. And also discuss why something like that will never happen again and never has before. I've been avoiding the internet for good reason. The old rumors dredged up from ash and avoiding social media, news, articles people send me the past 2 weeks because I just don't want to invite that negativity inside. However, one thing that I am seeing is your comments told me all that I need to know about how that video was perceived. That's one thing that really made me take a step back. Despite Hank and I's intentions on posting a funny dad-son home movie that wasn't staged. Hi! Despite Hank and I having good intentions throughout the entire evolution of the saran wrap, I'm not gonna lie, it's been really hard to read a lot of the negative comments that have been thrown my way. Most of them, we know that to our core, especially after receiving a lot of the feedback online from you guys and just feeling sick to our stomach, especially after seeing how many people our pure intention home video struck a negative chord with. It was really hard for me to have people comment child abuser. It was hard to hear because without your perspective, to us, it was just an innocent video filmed at home, husband and son smiling and laughing. The evolution didn't last longer than 5 minutes. Gunnar was at no point uncomfortable until the very end where he just like squirmed as if he was no longer having fun with it, and it was immediately removed. We understand that there's no excuses for what happened. However, it's my hope that in hearing a little bit of our POV as a family, I hope this video brings insight into what happened from our perspective. I straight up refuse to look at most of what's going on right now, just simply because I know that my mental health can't take it. I was just getting out of a rut. Speaking from my very recent experience in sharing a very vulnerable moment, being forcefully and traumatically separated as a family, especially taking away our child, there was nothing I wouldn't do to get our baby boy back. Any reservations I had at the time about posting a vulnerable cry for help went out the fucking door. The day after my son was taken, not knowing when he would be returned. At the time, there was nothing else I had at my disposal to get him back. And at least with my social media, I do have a voice and I do have privilege in that aspect. And I'm really thankful that they were able to get a CPS worker out that next day. After Hank and I were forcibly separated from Gunnar, I personally went into a state of pure panic. Hank handles things differently the way that I do. My personal way of dealing with crisis is chicken head off kind of running around, whereas Hank is very calm and quiet. I was losing my mind. Literally, uncontrollable anxiety took over my whole body and I just needed to do something to get my baby boy back. And social media is a voice. And using that voice in the panicked way that I did, I only made the situation worse and people more confused. I did want to clear up a few things just so the comments can stop. If your child was forcibly taken from you, I feel like any parent would do what I did in my position as well. A lot of people made fun of me saying that like I wasn't really crying and that, you know, how is she crying without any tears falling? I had been crying since the second they took him away. Don't even get me started on that. The particular narrative where people were trying to say that we were somehow punishing our toddler who was doing toddler-ish things on in the day. After I posted that initial really emotional video, people picked apart, tried to say that the reason why Gunnar was in the saran wrap in the first place is because we were punishing him because an outlet situation happened, and I will address all of that. But no, he barely understands no. How could you punish a little human doesn't even understand what's happening? Whoever does punish little kids like that, yeah, fuck them. But that is not what happened, so do not loop me in with those assholes. It was a stupid idea. You regret it. I regret filming it. He regrets doing it. And I'm gonna keep repeating this until people get it through their heads that I'm not just apologizing because I posted the video. Our original perspective in the moment, just the three of us together, is remembered in my mind as a funny and spontaneous moment between my husband and son. After he walked into the master bedroom with our son rolled up looking like a little caterpillar. To clarify, it was not rehearsed. It was not planned. It was not a skit. Nor was it done to punish our son. Not a single malicious intention like some people are perceiving, aka definitely put words in my mouth, because even in the video where I was obviously distraught, in no way did I ever say that our son was being punished by a saran wrap for just being a toddler. He can't understand things yet. All we can do is say, no, please don't touch that. We don't even intend to spank our children because of the studies done. So judgmental I'm facing online, not just for the video, it getting misconstrued. Forget the video for a second and just think about the fact that I'm being bullied by other moms because I've been open about my mental health, and that makes me a bad mother because I talked about how I hadn't showered because I was so busy making sure my son was loved and cared for. I had nothing left over to give to myself, because that makes me a bad mom. The amount of judgments. I feel like the single most condescending comment you can get as a mother struggling with postpartum health is after you've already repetitively told somebody that you're in therapy and you're seeing a psychiatrist, it's like, seek help or get help. And it's like, I'm about to get you some help. Okay, I hate it. I hate it so much. People are convinced that I let these accidents happen. And gosh, fuck, people are saying that I think this house is haunted. The latest and greatest is people saying that I allowed these incidents to happen. I don't even know what to say to that. Toddlers be tolerant. Straight up, they put everything in their little mouths because they're so curious about the world. A quality that really solidifies that foundation of daily panic, the bread and butter of my postpartum anxiety. Toddlers are silent but deadly. I mean, like, you could be a freaking Stepford wife and still find yourself in shitty situations like motherhood as a job. Multiple jobs rolled all into one, so y'all better be appreciating your wives out there. Some days are more exhausting than others, and this was just one of those days where it was like, you know, one thing after another, after another, after another. And as my husband came home, we do this thing called like a baby handoff. So I handed him the baby, gave him the diaper report, like whether or not he needed to be changed, if he needs a bottle, etc., etc. This is after I've already given him bath, book, bed. Love doing these little like baby handovers in the evening. It gives me just like a little bit of time to wind down. I go to bed kind of early now that I'm a mom. Before I used to stay up till like 4 in the morning and like think nothing of it. But it also gives like Hank and Gunnar time to bond in the evening. The saran wrap is a result of that bonding time. Despite choosing to address craziness that happened during that day, most days for me are very peaceful. As a toddler mom, Gunnar is just a sweetheart, and I love him with all my heart. I again just want to be extra clear. The events that happened with myself and Gunnar earlier on in the day, Hank deciding to be a goof and wrap our son in saran wrap, are completely separate. It's not something where we did the baby handoff and I was like, punish this little boy, and he had the saran wrap and wrap. This is what people think is happening on the internet, and I'm telling you, in fact, the only reason it happened in the first place is because Hank is a goof. He also has OCD. He wears gloves a lot. I hope that answers some of y'all's questions. He also has tic disorder, which is like a step down kind of like from Tourette's. That's not something I've really addressed a lot online because that's not my business to tell. Because when he gets home, he loves to like clean up the kitchen and do the dishes. I mean, it's like he's like Mr. Mom, It's kind of the roles are reversed a little bit sometimes. But he was like goofing around with Gunnar, laughing, playing, and opened the drawer. We keep our wax paper, aluminum foil, and I guess we were down to the last little bit of saran wrap. And Hank in his brain, I don't know. There's a whole freaking playlist TikTok called Hankivities, and if you would take like 5 seconds of your time to just watch any of those videos, I think you'd get it a little bit. It was a stupid idea. He decided to bring our little caterpillar over to the master bedroom where I was reading after a long day on my feet, working, being present with Gunnar. So Hank had decided to bring Gunnar over into our master bedroom where I was like reading my Kindle for the night and like kind of winding. I thought it would be funny. And
one thing I will say right off the bat, and I'm sorry if it's nitpicky and annoying, but the way in which this is filmed, I'm not a fan of. Now, that doesn't change anything with the issue at hand. I'm just saying, as people who've been on the internet for a long time, we've seen our fair share of apologies, of explanations that are trying to be apologies but aren't really apologies. We've seen that. One of the first things we know as viewers is that the aesthetics of apologies are a conversation to be had, and it sucks because really the content is what matters, right? But if you have a video that is shot in multiple places, it is distracting, first of all, in my opinion, because I kept being like, why is she outside? Why is there a fence? Why aren't you just, you know, like, you'd think that an apology typically would be like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to tell you why I fucked up and how I fucked up and that I'm sorry. So that already in and of itself, I think, played in favor of people who already decided that they weren't on her side. So she gave them that kind of ammunition there. When you are apologizing, in my opinion, I haven't seen many well-received apologies online, but usually the more modest, the more sincere, the less emotional, the better. That's what I've noticed. So people crying often isn't received well because people will say you're fake crying. If you are in a location that says pompousness. Now, I'm thinking of Jaclyn Hill just because I think she's had to apologize for a lot. I am out of the loop with the beauty community, but I always think of the beauty community when I think of apologies, responses, and just the shit show. That's an aside. The other thing is that also, I don't know how many times and how in detail you can explain the fact that your perspective, as in Savannah's and her husband's, was playful. I don't know what else you can really say, because the people who will think it was a punishment, or the people who will think and do think it's abusive, that won't change because of your intention. And this is one of those things where your intention almost stops mattering because of the action you did. You know what I mean? It's like running someone over. You didn't mean to, but you did. And I think that's the hardest part of it all. You didn't mean to, that's not what you wanted to do, but the end result is the end result, which is a little bit alla Machiavelli of me. I get it, but it is what it is. The other thing is also, and this is from the point of view of someone who's on social media, you know, you'll see jump cuts in my videos. You'll see things in my videos that show that I took something out, that I changed something, that I might have restarted my sentence, that I might have tripped over my words. These are things that, as someone who's on social media and does it as a job, optics matter. As much as people want to say that they're being authentic, I think you can be authentic online. That being said, there are ways that I phrase things more specifically, because if you don't know me and I say something, my best friend will know what I mean. Someone who's never seen me won't know what I mean. So I have to be very, very clear. So if we're talking even about just the optics, what also doesn't make sense to me is, putting aside how do you wrap a kid in saran wrap and think it's hilarious, I already can't understand that or relate to that, so we're gonna move on, because truly there's not much more I can say other than I don't understand. How do you film that and decide to upload it and at no point ask yourself, okay, how is this going to come off? Because the reality, and it's unfortunate, but the reality is that when you post something on social media, especially with a following like that, there will be people who do not know you who will see it and will interpret it in some type of way. That's something we have to be prepared for, realistically. And it's not easy when you have over 1 million people following you. How do you not think about how is this going to be perceived? Truly, that is what's mind-boggling to me, amongst the other things, the less obvious things that I find mind-boggling. One thing I will say is that she does mention in her video that people were bringing up old things of hers, like mental health problems and stuff like that. She did post videos that I saw that mentioned depression and anxiety, I think it was. Bringing that into question, I think, is not only useless, but it's harmful, because it's like, okay, she's depressed and she mentioned that she hasn't showered in a couple days. That has no bearing on what's going on here, because she said that her energies were drained from taking care of her kid, and therefore, along with depression, taking care of herself was too much. I don't really think it's productive or even a progressive mindset to turn it all into that. Now, could that have a bearing on the situation at hand? Maybe, but we don't know enough, and we're not qualified to say that. So to bring in depression and anxiety as a reason that she's a bad mom, no, because there are plenty of great moms who have depression, anxiety, and a series of other things. It's like with anything else, it's how you deal with your problems. I really think that that is heinous. Even though I'm not on her side by any means, that is weak, in my opinion. It's very weak. That being said, I think dragging out an explanation in this particular case is useless. If you are genuinely apologizing, just apologize and say you fucked up and leave it at that, because truly, all the context we need is already out there. They thought they were playing, the internet didn't interpret it that way. I don't really know what else you can say to try to shift the public perspective or apologize, whatever it is. Aside from that, it's also a question of twisting the knife in your own wound, in the sense of, if you are at peace, if you apologized because you think you fucked up, you apologized, you clarified, enough. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say that she can't post anything. I'm just trying to say that there are times where your explanation will not change anything. And it's a hard thing to accept, but I do think that for our own well-being, even her own well-being, to continue to bring this forward, when I think it happened like March 7th, what are you getting out of this? Because inevitably the comments are going to be still against you. I think for the most part, most people's opinion won't change. And aside from that, you're continuing to focus on this thing. And that's not to say ignore your pain. It's more a question of, maybe don't put that online. Maybe don't openly invite people to kind of comment on it. We know how vitriolic the internet is. The internet will not help you heal. That being said, like I said, half an hour ago, she posted her explanation, one part of it, presumably. So I don't know how things are going to change, but like I said, I don't really know what else could possibly be said to really change anything here. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below, whether you think CPS should have removed Gunner from the house permanently for a longer period of time. Do you think it's abusive? So on and so forth. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.